I'm very excited to kick off the panel with a lot of experts to talk about women in sport. We're going to talk about our specific products about women's fit. And actually, we're also going to talk a bit about those barriers, the things that we will need to continue to be working on. ACL injuries is a huge and it's a big impact on the well-being of our players. And that's why today I'm very proud to mention that Puma will invest in a very comprehensive research study that will not only aim to develop a greater understanding of why we're getting these injuries in women, but also will helping us to support some training programs to avoid those risks in the future, and hopefully those findings would also help us to develop better products in the future in order to help women around the world.
We know that, relatively speaking, there is a high injury risk with football. Delving a little bit deeper into that and thinking about the female game, there's definitely some specific considerations around a female athlete. Generally, there is lower muscle strength in a female athlete. There's specific considerations that we're slowly learning more about, and they may have implications, and that's to do with hormone fluctuations throughout the menstrual cycle. We know biomechanically that there's a greater risk of lower limb injuries with female athletes, and that can be at both the knee and the ankle. And more importantly than that is the effect that that can have on individuals, and that's physically and also psychologically. And the effect of that can increase with lengths of injury, and an ACL is obviously an example of a lengthy injury that can have quite an impact on an individual.
The women's fit came about especially because we've been seeing, as Harry said, the really rapid increase of the football, women's football. And as a team, we came together and we said, do we have the right product offering for female footballers out there? So what we did is we went through several published research that was out there around the differences between male and female feet, to try to see whether there were relevant differences there. And what we found out is that actually, indeed, there were. So we've decreased the volume on this area of the boot. We've also decreased the volume on the midfoot, right, this area of the boot, and also a lower instep. And actually what we saw is that also as we introduced all of our silos with the women's fit, that more and more our players were adopting it as well and felt more comfortable wearing it. And if you, for example, we look at the full roster of endorsed players right now at the World Cup, over 95% of our endorsed players wear the women's fit. So I think that's a really good indication for us to continue pushing that, and an indication that it's really a massive step for our female footballers.
It's amazing, and it seems so obvious as well. You know, when you think about all the research that's done on equipment, it's all done by men, for male players, and just the concept of thinking about doing the research by women for women. There is actually research that's out there. I think the biggest problem is that link between the research and actually getting it to the right people. We know it's there, but actually to implement it into the clubs and get players to actually be doing all of the prehab training to prevent the injury in the first place, I think that's the missing link. So it's so nice to see not just the research, but how you guys are implementing it.
Body dissatisfaction is common amongst adolescent girls, and fear of judgment, conscious about their appearance, and sport uniforms have a big role to play in order to encourage girls to continue playing sport. They want fabrics that are breathable, that hide sweat, that fits them well. They also want second layers. Having a second layer in your shorts, it also reinforces what you were talking before about, Bex, in relation to potential with the periods and leakage, and that will certainly assist. And what we found in our Australian study is that girls preferred dark-coloured shorts for that very reason. 73% of active girls believed that if they wore their preferred uniform, it would increase their confidence and comfort. But 25% of inactive girls agreed if they could wear their preferred uniform, they would start sport. So that's the influence sport uniforms have.
So the look good, feel good, play good is very real. It's very real.